Welcome back, coders. Today we are going to create a modern-looking button with modern hover effect using only HTML and CSS. First, let me show you what will be the result. As you can see, there are multiple buttons with the same structure, but their colors change. Each button has two backgrounds. The first one is slightly transparent, and the second one is a linear gradient background. When you hover over a button, both backgrounds shift to the center, and since the first background is a bit transparent, the effect of the linear gradient background is subtle. The result is a sleek and eye-catching hover effect that adds a touch of sophistication to your buttons. So without diving into the complexity, let's start the code. Alright, let's begin by putting all our content in a container division. Within this division, we'll have a heading and the button itself. We'll add more buttons later, but for now, we'll focus on designing the first button to make it easy to understand. Let's start by writing the basic CSS code. We'll remove any margins and paddings from all tags and set the border sizing property. Then, we'll add the font family for the entire page, set the width, and choose a background color. Now, let's move on to the container to align the heading and all buttons. We'll start by changing the basic properties, such as background, width, margin, padding, and border radius, to give it a polished look. The key part is here. We'll use the flex property to align the content in the center, ensuring everything is nicely centered on the page. Additionally, we'll add space between the content using the gap property, which will give a clean and organized appearance to our container. Here comes the heading part. We'll start by changing the basic properties, such as color, width, alignment, and font size. Especially, we'll adjust the position because we're going to use the after selector to create two borders for the button text. We'll also change its basic properties, including position and color. The crucial step is to adjust the z-index property for both the after selector and the heading, ensuring that the red background stays at the back. Alright, it's time to work on the button. Let's start by changing the font size and adjusting the padding. Next, we'll remove the existing background and border, as we'll be adding two backgrounds using selectors later on. Now we'll use the before selector to create a slightly transparent background. By changing properties like position, width, height, background color, border radius, and using the z-index property, we'll ensure this background stays at the front of the linear background. Next up, we'll use the after selector to create a linear gradient background. We'll modify basic properties such as position, width, height, linear gradient background, border radius, and use the z-index property to make sure this background stays at the back of the slightly transparent background. To add an inner blur effect to the upper background, we'll use the backdrop filter property. This will give our button a subtle and sophisticated look. Now that our button is ready, let's focus on animating the hovering effect. First, we'll determine which properties we want to animate on hover. Additionally, we'll set the animation time for both the button and the after selector, ensuring that the animations are perfectly timed and visually appealing. To bring the actual effect to life, let's make some dynamic changes. First, we'll change the background position to the center, creating a captivating visual effect. Next, we'll change the background color of the upper background, adding that extra touch of elegance. Now, let's switch gears and adjust the lower background position to the center. This final touch completes our first button, and it's now ready to shine. Great! Let's continue by adding more buttons and assigning different classes to each button. This way, we can easily change the background color of each button. I'll use my own color choices for some buttons, but feel free to use your preferred colors or your provided color codes for a personalized touch. Once we've added the colors to the 7th button, we'll adjust the position of the 2nd color to ensure that the colors are equally distributed and look visually appealing. For the last 2 buttons, we'll use 3 background colors to create a unique and eye-catching effect. Congratulations indeed! Our modern-looking button is now fully complete and ready to shine. With its eye-catching hover effects, stylish gradients, and captivating design, this button will surely add a touch of elegance and interactivity to any website. I hope you enjoyed creating this button as much as I did guiding you through the process. If you have any doubts or need further explanations on any part of the tutorial, feel free to ask. I'm here to assist and provide additional guidance to ensure you have a clear understanding and successful experience. Before we part ways, I'd like to kindly remind you to support the channel by giving it a thumbs up, sharing this video with others, and subscribe to stay updated with more exciting content. Thank you for joining me on this exciting journey, and I'll see you next time.